The first time the baby spoke, it was not a cry. It was a name. Nana. The room went cold. Chioma, barely a month into motherhood, dropped the wrapper she was folding and stared at the infant lying in the raffia crib beside her mat. Nana, she whispered. Who is teaching this child to talk? But there was no one in the room. Her husband, Abuka, had gone to the stream. Her mother-in-law was at the next compound pounding yam. The baby, named Obioma, was only 5 months old. He had not even started crawling. And yet, he had just said a full name. Clearly. Calmly. Like he knew the person. Chioma ran outside, screaming, Mama Abuka, Mama Abuka, come-o. The old woman shuffled toward her. What is it? Why are you shouting like someone whose goat gave birth to a snake? It's Obioma. He just spoke. Hey. The old woman frowned. Spoke. As in, words. Not crying. I swear, Mama. He said Nana. Just like that. Mama Abuka entered the room and looked at the baby, who was now sucking his fingers as though nothing had happened. Obioma, the old woman said carefully, bending low. Say it again. Who is Nana? The baby stared at her with wide, curious eyes, then turned to the wall and smiled. Then, in a voice too mature for his age, he whispered, his coming. Mama Abuka froze. Chioma, she said slowly, her voice trembling. Did you hear that? I did, Chioma said, backing away from her baby. He said it again. Obioma lay there, giggling softly now. But his laughter was strange, almost knowing. Like someone who understood too much. Like someone who had seen something, or someone. Mama Abuka crossed herself. This is not ordinary. This is not a baby talking. This is something else. Mama, should we call the chief priest? No, the old woman snapped. We don't tell anybody yet. Not even your husband. Not yet. Chioma blinked. Why? Mama Abuka's eyes darted to the doorway, as if expecting something or someone to appear. Because when babies speak before crawling, it is not for nothing. It means the gods are warning us. And when the name they call is the name of the dead. Chioma gasped. Nana is dead. Yes, Mama Abuka said slowly. Nana was your husband's older brother. He died before Abuka was born. Later that night, after Abuka had returned and eaten, Chioma kept silent. She watched her husband laugh and chew on roasted yam, unaware of the strange thing that had happened earlier. She turned to her mother-in-law. Mama, should I tell him now? Mama Abuka shook her head. No. Let's observe. At midnight, Chioma heard it again. A low murmur. She jumped up and rushed to Obioma's crib. The baby's eyes were open, staring at the ceiling. And he was speaking in Igbo. They buried him without his eyes. Chioma's legs buckled. Who? She whispered. Who was buried without his eyes? Obioma turned his head and smiled. The one they call Nana. He's looking for them. Chioma screamed. Abuka ran into the room. Chioma, what is it? She pointed to the baby. He's talking. Abuka, he's talking about a dead man. What nonsense are you saying? Abuka barked. He's a baby. The baby laughed. A deep, chilling laugh. Then, his face returned to innocence, and he began to cry like a normal child. The next morning, Abuka stood outside sharpening his cutlass, pretending all was well. But his eyes kept drifting toward the hut. Toward the baby. Chioma came out, looking tired and scared. You believe me now? Abuka wiped sweat from his forehead. I don't know what to believe. But I'm not going to sit and watch my son speak like an old man. So what do we do? I'm going to the shrine. I must ask the chief priest. Chioma's eyes widened. Mama said not to. I don't care what Mama said. Something is wrong with my child. That afternoon, Abuka made his way to the edge of the forest where the shrine of Dibia Izudu stood. The air grew heavy as he approached, and the leaves stopped rustling. Even the birds were quiet. He bowed before the hut. Dibia, please. I seek answers. A voice, dry and deep, answered from within. Then enter. But not with fear in your heart. Abuka stepped inside. The old priest sat cross-legged, surrounded by bones, feathers, cowries, and smoke. Abuka fell to his knees. My child, he speaks before crawling. And he says, things. Names. Names of the dead. The priest's eyes did not blink. What name did he speak? Nana. A long silence. Then, the priest whispered, your brother. Yes. The priest reached for a calabash filled with dark water. He stirred it with a finger. He has returned. Abuka stiffened. Who? My brother. The priest shook his head. Not your brother as you knew him. But the one whose death was not complete. What do you mean? The priest leaned closer. He was buried, but not in peace. His soul has found a path back, through your son. Abuka stared at the old priest, confusion etched across his face. My brother's soul, inside my son? The priest nodded slowly. He has returned, but not to play. Abuka's mouth went dry. Why? Why would Nana come back this way? Dibia Ezudu's voice was low. Because the earth never truly swallowed his pain. His spirit was not appeased. His eyes were taken before his body was placed in the ground. That is a curse no spirit forgets. Abuka's heart raced. I didn't even know him. I was born after he died. My father never spoke much about Nana. The old priest closed his eyes. Then it is time you knew the truth. But be warned, the truth will haunt more than your nights. That night, back at home, Chioma lit a lamp and sat beside Obioma, who slept peacefully, too peacefully. Abuka walked in slowly, his face pale. Chioma, he said quietly, my brother's soul is restless. And has found a way back. Chioma looked at him, trembling. Through Obioma? Yes. She swallowed. What do we do? I don't know yet. But the priest said something was done to him. Something terrible. And the land didn't accept it. Just then, Obioma stirred in his sleep. He giggled. Chioma bent forward. Obioma? He opened his eyes. And in a voice that was not a baby's, he said, dig. They froze. Abuka took a shaky step forward. Dig. Dig what? Where? The baby smiled, stretched his tiny arms, and whispered, behind the mango tree. Where the soil is soft, and the truth sleeps. The next morning, as the cock crowed and mist hugged the compound, Abuka grabbed his hoe and walked behind the old mango tree. The soil there was different, lighter, loose, like it had once been disturbed. Chioma watched nervously from the doorway. Abuka struck the earth. Once. Twice. Then again. After just a few scoops, the hoe hit something solid. He dropped to his knees and began digging with his hands. His fingers touched wood. An old box. He pulled it out slowly, heart pounding. The wood was rotted in places, but still intact. Chioma ran over. What's in it? Abuka opened the lid. Inside were two things. A small skull, with no eyes. And a folded, blood-stained cloth wrapped around a string of coral beads. Chioma gasped and covered her mouth. Abuka's eyes welled with tears. My brother. Suddenly, they heard a laugh. From the hut. It was Obioma. Laughing again, but this time, louder. Stronger. It echoed, like it came from somewhere deeper than his chest. Abuka whispered, he knows we found it. That night, the house was cold. The fire refused to catch. Obioma refused to sleep. He kept murmuring in his crib. Mama said he would protect me. But she lied. Chioma's eyes widened. Who's Mama? Obioma looked at her with those unnatural eyes. The one who gave me to them. Chioma stepped back. What? Obioma whispered, she sold me. For land. For title. For silence. Abuka's mouth opened in shock. Mama Abuka? Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. It was light. Too light for a human hand. Knock. 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 Chioma clutched her chest. Who is that? Abuka grabbed his machete. Stay behind me. He opened the door slowly. There was no one there. But in the red dust outside, 3 footprints led away, but none led to the door. Abuka stood frozen at the door, staring at the footprints. Chioma, he said, do you see it? Chioma stepped closer, trembling. They're walking away, but nothing walked here. Abuka nodded. Spirits don't come like us. They don't need a way in. He shut the door and turned to Obioma, who now sat up in his crib, smiling as if nothing had happened. Chioma stared at him. Abuka, I'm scared. What if this isn't even our son anymore? No, he said firmly. He's still our son. But something else is inside him. A spirit. A memory. A pain. We must understand it, not run from it. The next morning, Abuka went to confront his mother. He found Mima Abuka slicing okra in the kitchen hut. Mima, he said without greeting, I need to ask you something. And don't lie. She looked up slowly. What is it? Did Papa do something to Nana before he died? Her hands stopped. Her eyes flicked up. Then down again. Mama, answer me. She dropped the knife. Her shoulders shook. You weren't supposed to know. Abuka's fists clenched. So it's true. She sat down on a low stool and whispered, your father killed him. Chioma, who had followed behind silently, gasped. What? Mima Abuka buried her face in her hands. They said Nana was cursed. That he was born with the eyes of a seer. He could see things no one else could. He started talking to trees. To shadows. He said the ancestors whispered to him. Abuka asked, so Papa killed him for that? He said it was mercy. He said Nana would go mad. That he would shame the family. So one night, he took him into the forest. Chioma covered her mouth. Mima Abuka continued, he removed his eyes so he wouldn't see the spirits again. Then he buried him. Told the village he died of sickness. And you let him? Abuka asked, voice shaking. I was young. I was afraid. Your father was a man of power. Who would believe me? That night, Chioma had a dream. She was standing alone in the forest. The trees whispered. The air was thick. Then a boy stepped forward. Thin. Pale. Eyeless. He said, come find me. Then the earth beneath her cracked open, and she saw a grave, shallow, forgotten, choked with roots and silence. She woke up screaming. Abuka rushed to her side. Chioma, she panted, drenched in sweat. He showed me where he is. The real grave. Not the one by the mango tree. That was just his things. His body, it's in the forest. The next morning, they prepared. Abuka carried his cutlass and a bag of salt and white cloth, gifts for the spirit. Chioma held Obioma in a wrapper on her back. Mema Abuka refused to come. I've done enough, she said. Let the forest judge me. They made their way through thick bush, following the vision Chioma described. The birds were silent. The trees seemed to lean closer. Then they found it. A small mound, overgrown with wild ferns. The soil was cracked. The air cold. Abuka knelt. Nana. Chioma placed Obioma on the ground. The baby crawled for the first time toward the grave. And then, he whispered, now, dig. Abuka dug. With every scoop, the air grew heavier. Shadows danced at the edges of their sight. Soon, bones appeared. Small. Fragile. Then, the skull. Eyeless. Chioma cried softly. He was just a child. Suddenly, the wind roared. Obioma's eyes rolled back, and he began to speak not in a child's voice, not even in Nana's, but in a voice filled with many voices, layered and deep. You brought me out. You gave me voice. But I still have no peace. Abuka knelt before the bones. What do you want? The baby said, truth. Tell them what happened. Speak it. Let the land know. That evening, a drum was beaten in the village square. Abuka stood before the elders and the villagers, holding the cloth and coral beads. He told the story of Nana, the seer child, of his father's cruelty, of the grave in the forest. The villagers listened, shocked and silent. Mema Abuka stepped forward too, trembling. I am guilty. I stayed silent all these years. The chief priest nodded. Then the gods may now rest. And so may the child whose voice returned before his time. That night, back at home, Obioma slept deeply. No whispers. No laughter. No strange words. Just the quiet breathing of a baby. Chioma looked at Ebuka. Do you think he's gone? Ebuka shook his head slowly. No. I think he's at peace. And now, maybe so are we. 3 days passed. The hut was quiet, no whispers, no strange laughter, no midnight voices. Just the hum of wind through the trees and the chirping of night insects. Obioma lay in his crib, unmoving. His chest rose and fell gently, his face calm. Chioma barely left his side. She changed his wrappers, wiped his face, and whispered prayers over him, her heart heavy with both hope and fear. Ebuka, she said on the second day, do you think he'll ever wake up again? Ebuka sat at the doorway, sharpening his cutlass slowly. He will. I can feel it. He's resting. After everything, he deserves that much. On the third day, just as the cock crowed and dawn broke in streaks of gold across the sky, Obioma stirred. Chioma rushed to him. Obioma? His tiny fingers curled. His lips moved. His eyes fluttered open. This time, they were soft. Clear. Like the eyes of any baby. Obioma, she whispered, tears slipping down her cheeks. Do you know me? He blinked, then smiled. Just a simple, sweet baby smile. No more adult words. No more mysterious riddles. Just a baby's quiet innocence. Ebuka stepped in, his breath caught in his throat. Chioma looked at him and nodded. His back. Obioma reached up and grabbed her finger, giggling softly. The air in the hut was different now, warmer, lighter. As if a heavy shadow had finally lifted. Days later, they returned to the forest one last time. They lit a lantern by Nana's grave and left behind the coral beads and the cloth, now washed and clean. Ebuka bowed his head. Rest now, brother. Your voice was heard. Chioma placed a small carving of a dove at the base of the tree. For peace, she whispered. As they walked back home, hand in hand, Obioma strapped to her back, there were no eerie winds, no shifting shadows. Just the rustle of leaves and the gentle song of a returning bird. The village would never forget the tale of the baby who spoke before crawling, a story that would be passed from lips to ears, around fires, across generations. But for Ebuka and Chioma, it was no longer a tale of fear. It was a tale of truth, healing, and the power of finally listening to the silence left behind by the dead. And in that silence, peace lived again.